Today I'm at a very cozy and very nice room, but that's not the point. The point is about the company that built this room with their own product. I'm talking about adhesive. Adhesive basically means glue. Like the tables here, like how they bind the tables together, the chair that I'm sitting on, how they bind the chair together, the furnitures and whatnot. So all this, they use their own products to actually make it into a showroom to showcase to their customers on what they actually do. And today I have the Deputy Managing Director of the company, Techbond, to come and share with us more about their business.
Nice.
So his name is Lee Seh Meng.
Yep.
Right, welcome to the show. Right.
Thank you, Frankie. Hi.
Right, Seh Meng, the company Techbond was started by your father in 1995, right? So during that time, your father was doing some trading in the machinery stuff and things like that. Then eventually he ventured into the wood adhesive business around that time. So I just want to ask if you could recall during that period of time when your father did a pivot from being an employee to start his own business. How was it like? Was it a suffer to the family? Because, you know, as a startup, you need a lot of attention on the business and maybe neglected the family and whatnot.
All I know is that I always see my dad traveling. We keep on hearing stories of how he grew the business, and so we came to know that it wasn't an easy journey. During that time, he actually did a lot of entertainment, and because that era, that was the formula to close business.
A lot of entertainment.
Yeah, a lot of entertainment. Because during that era, there was no internet, there was no 3G phone. It was, I think that
SMS
was
is the
the
most,
SMS era. So they need to be very, very hardworking. They need to go to customer to meet them physically. There was no email. It was only fax, phone, and physical documents to be signed off.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a very different era compared to today.
Oh, those were the days.
Yeah.
And, and around what age did your father started to involve you in the business?
At very young age, but we started to involve from, I think, two different perspectives. Physically, he puts us into the company, like for example, when we wait for school bus and all that to go to school in the afternoon. So morning, we will be at the office waiting. So we will do some vacuum, we do some cleaning and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was physical. But mentally or in our soul, he talks business all the time, even during lunch, during dinner.
Since day one, he already prepped you all.
Yeah, so since young all the way until today, I think most of our times when we are together, we talk business. We hear stories about businesses, how people fail in their business. We hear how people prepare for their new development and all that. So we hear all these kind of stories through our journey since young.
Right. Getting ourselves updated with the news is one of the most important things to do to start the day, whether you are investing or just want to know what's going on around the world. But with the little time that we have, it's very hard to read the newspaper from the beginning all the way to the end. But what if I tell you there's a way to get yourself updated with just under 3 minutes a day? That's where the Coffee Break newsletter comes in. Every weekday from Monday to Friday, the Coffee Break newsletter will send a newsletter to your email and summarizes all the interesting news from politics to investments and current affairs to help you to get updated with the current news. From now until 30th of April, one lucky winner will stand a chance to win 1,000 ringgit cold hard cash. So what are you waiting for? Read the news and get rewarded. Sign up with the link in the description below.
Dreams be dreams.
Okay, so most of your career, you actually built it in Techbond itself. I think that's partly because your father was trying to prepare you and your brother to one day take over the business. Based on what I can see, is that you actually started from the ground. You started as an executive and then you work all the way up and then you become a head of department and then eventually you become the deputy managing director. But there's one episode in your career which is a little bit different, which is for a normal second generation, right? What they would typically do is to just stay on with the company because that's where they learn through experience and expertise passed down from the past generation and then improve it to become better. But you actually went away not too long after you joined Techbond. You went to further your studies and then you came back 2 years later. Why do you choose that different route compared to the rest of the people?
So prior to that, I was actually working with an audit firm. Okay, so after that, I joined the company for a while and then I went for my master degree. So the reason I went for master degree was because I realized that I don't have much business sense. I was very much numbers oriented.
Right.
But in business, that is not the case. Business is about people, is about your business analogy, the environment that you are in, how you want to do business. It's not so much about numbers. So I still remember this because we were very young at that time when we first graduated. So every time when we think about making more profit for the company, all we know is cost down or increase sales.
Correct.
Yeah, that's it. But when I come into business, then I start to realize it's not that simple. There are a lot of things that we can look at. We can make the business more efficient. We can do product development, solve customer issue, and from there we can gain a better margin. So it requires a lot of innovation and long-term thinking of how the business can sustain for long-term for you to demand that kind of margin. Not to go into a commodity kind of mindset where price is the dominant factor to close off the business. So from there, I realized, okay, there's a knowledge gap that I need to close. I need more, you can say knowledge or exposure to learn from more people, to learn from different industries, people and all that. So I went for my further study. Even until today, at this moment, I'm still doing my EMBA in China.
Oh,
I'm still doing study in China. It's in Chinese language.
I see, I see.
So I start to see that the education in China is very different compared to 10 years ago when I was in Australia.
Oh.
It's very, very different. And from there, I can also see why China is moving so fast, so quickly. Because they are closing the gap super fast.
Can you share with us, like, what's the difference between the Western education and the Chinese kind?
Those things that I learned 10 years ago
Right.
was very academic, okay? It was very theoretical. But when I go to China, it doesn't take you that much of time, okay? But it's very practical. What they do is they tell you, okay, these are the problems that SME face and these are the solutions. And these are how multinational company does it. These are how SME actually surpasses MNCs. So you start to see a very big exposure and gap of knowledge that we never knew because that's not our experience. But from there, we can very quickly close that gap off rather than we go and bang the wall and then, recorrect the situation.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe that's one of the reasons why China is able to climb to become the world's second largest economy so quickly, right? But for you yourself, you also climbed the career ladder fairly quickly. Started from sales, head of department, and then deputy managing director. But specifically when you became the deputy managing director, so it was a 4 years tenure already since the first day. What was the biggest change that you have implemented based on what you learned in the past into Techbond?
It's not so much of when I am the deputy managing director, what change have I done? It's more of when I joined the company 10 years ago, the environment that you see here was not here.
Yeah.
Okay, it was about making money, making solution to customers. Not so many young people that time. It was more of the maybe
It's a very
40 to 60s.
It's a traditional way of doing business,
Yes,
right? I
yes,
come
yes.
into the office, I make sure I make money, close the deal, get out, the next day, the same thing again, right?
Yeah, you can say so. But the relationship was there. Because when I joined, then I realized, okay, this setup, a lot of young people may not like it. Okay, because before I joined Techbond officially, I went to a few places to do interview. I actually joined another company before I joined here. So I went to those interview and then I realized a lot of people out there with nice environment and a cozy workplace and all that. Young talents will tend to join them rather than us. Because in business, it's not about your product competition only. Actually, the biggest competition is about talent. Who gets talent, who gets the market.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that is the, I cannot say change or mindset, okay? But it's more of when young people come in, then we tend to have more ideas of putting all those things in place because we are also young. We want those environments. Yeah. So I think that is the kind of mindset and sharing that we share to them, and eventually it takes place.
Right.
Then we start to see a lot of young talents start to join us. Even until today, I think our average group, just now when you went to our lab, you see a lot of
Very young people.
Yeah, a lot of young people.
Okay.
Even that one was not our lab. Our lab was here last time.
Oh.
This floor is our lab.
Oh, okay.
Only this floor.
Okay.
So we dismantle this area. We shifted lab over there to make it bigger so that we can have more equipments in. And this area will make it a sports club.
Okay, so basically the biggest change is how you turn Techbond into a younger company so that you can attract the right talent into the environment.
Yeah.
And then from there you can have new blood to help you to think how to move the company forward.
This is on the environment side.
Okay.
But maybe I put it this way. 10 years ago, I think salesperson to bring their laptop out was not so popular. It was not popular in Techbond. So when we came in, we start to do corporate profile where there was no corporate profile earlier. Okay, there was no presentation. When salesperson went out, they just take a book and they go. So when we came in, I think we built website, we built corporate profile, start to do rebranding, or we change our logo. So it's more of the younger thing. That was the initial stage. Because my earlier focus was on sales. So when I took up the deputy MD role, my focus was more overall. So now I'm thinking more on sustainability. And we segregate our duty. So you can see my dad focused a lot in product development.
Okay.
I'm doing more of operation, and I'm also thinking of building this Techbond Academy so that in the future their career growth, their career path will all tied to our academy. Meaning to say, if they want to grow from this position to next position, there are some gaps that needs to be closed, and they can close this gap through our academy.
It's a role-based kind of progression. It is not a personality per se.
Not so much of personality,
Yeah.
because personality to me is more of how we choose the people. So the academy is more of closing the generic competency and technical competencies.
Right.
So meaning, as an exec, you must have proactive behavior. You must be strong in execution. Okay, so those
You must be hungry to grow.
Yeah, you must be hungry to grow. You must be able to do it rather than only talk.
Yeah.
So those competency, first they must aware. Second, there are ways to build those competencies.
Well, strong foundation is the great formula for a company to grow. So I think you're on the right track. So that one, I think fantastic. But Techbond was listed on Bursa Malaysia in 2018. Since then, I think the biggest event for Techbond would be the acquisition of Malayan Adhesive and Chemicals, or short for MAC. The thing is, because I'm not from the adhesive industry, in fact, the only thing I know about adhesive is that it sticks, it's glue, right?
Yeah.
But when you went into this acquisition, the first impression for me is that why can't you do it yourself, right? Why do you need to acquire somebody to do it? Because ultimately it's just mixing some chemicals and then you come up with the adhesive. So the only thing that I found out about MAC is that it was actually a rubber cork company. So to me, wow, like a small company acquire rubber cork company, that must be something. But maybe you can share with us in more details about what is MAC and why do you need MAC?
Okay. So what they do, they are manufacturing adhesive, mainly urea formaldehyde kind of adhesive. Okay.
What's that?
That's the technical thing. Okay. So they have adhesive, they have chemicals. But the reason of why we acquire MAC is because in the woodworking segment, like for example this table, okay, we are mainly focusing in solid wood application. Okay. I think about year 2007 when Lehman Brothers crisis.
2008.
2008 roughly. So about that time, we ventured into hot melt. So prior to that, actually Techbond only does water-based, no hot melt. Okay. But because of the Lehman Brothers crisis, our sales dropped by 70%, and we had a lot of bad debt during that time. Then my father actually told me, we have two choices. We either shut down the business, retire, or we do something else. But year 2007, I think I was still studying that time. So not my call. I do not know how to make the call, but I leave it to him. Well, if you don't want to do anything, then what you want to do? Of course, you have sufficient amount for retirement. Then subsequently, we decided to diversify into hot melt. Then we start to realize in hot melt industry, you can only sell the aging and some small applications. Then we start to have more exposure in the panel furniture, which means chipboard, MDF board, and all that.
Those are called wood panel.
Panel meaning to say outside solid. So if you take this, you cut into veneer, or you make into chipboard, or you make into fiberboard, those are under panel furniture. Then we start to realize, actually panel furniture has a very big market in adhesive, but we don't have the glue. We don't have the glue. And it's not the glue that we know how to do during that point of time. So from there, we are aware of the market, but we do not have the product. We did talk to a few suppliers to do trading and all that, but it didn't work because this market is too big and of course the price is slightly lower. But then we face one issue. We face issue where when we sell our water-based or hot melt into those larger customers where they eat up the whole supply chain, meaning they have panel furniture all the way to edge bending, then they use water-based, meaning to say they use all the glue. Then we start to face competition. People who sell those urea formaldehyde also come and tackle our water-based.
Because they are one-stop center lah. They provide
They want
all
to
kinds
be.
of glue.
They want to be.
Okay.
Yeah. Supposedly the customer actually bought from 2 different suppliers, but they want to eat up our market share as well.
Understand.
Yeah. Then there comes a point where we realize, hey, this company wants to sell. After we took over, now we are in the whole supply chain of woodworking or adhesive.
So basically, you can be the one-stop center for wood-based kind of customers from now on with this
I think most of
acquisition.
yes, correct. Most of the wood adhesive we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you be looking at more of this kind of acquisition in the future?
We are open actually to any type as long as there is synergy of us working together. Of course, we must be able to contribute.
Okay.
Or this business actually contribute to us.
What would be this kind of acquisition be? Because you already have the full wood-based kind of portfolio. So would that be like for other industries and stuff like that?
It can be vertically upstream. It also can be a new market. Let's say we go horizontally. So it can be a
So it
new
can be
company
anything.
in any country,
Okay.
maybe a new country. It can be.
Okay.
So it really depends. Because synergy doesn't only come from the product per se. Sometimes it can also come from the company value or the price that they want to sell, how fast we can actually cover it back. It can also come from the people that we want. Yeah, so there are many perspectives that we can look at this.
Okay. The good thing about Techbond is that even after with this acquisition, right, 57 million ringgit, you are still in a net cash position. I mean, in terms of finances, you will have no problem raising fund to do it. But is there like an amount to say that, hey, you know, if my gearing is up to a certain level, then that's a stretch for me that I don't want to go ahead? Or is it going to say that as long as I see value in the company, no matter it is 1 times, 2 times gearing, I need to borrow a lot of money, or potentially I need to do a private placement, I will still go for it. So what is the strategy over there?
I think it's more of the second part that you mentioned. However, it will depend on the sustainability of the company that we acquire. Okay, if let's say the company is making good profit and we see future of the company, then we don't mind taking a bigger borrowing.
Okay.
Okay.
Even though if the company is selling at a premium.
So of course it depends on how much we can contribute. Sometimes it's not, to them maybe a premium. To us, if let's say we can contribute and make it back faster,
Right.
then it's a win-win situation. Yeah. So it really depends on how we see the business.
Right.
Because I think sometimes market perspective when they look at business is more of looking at PE, more of looking at
That's how
historic.
fund managers look for value, per se.
Yeah, correct. I mean, which is not wrong because they are comparing against others where they can also invest.
Correct.
Not necessarily us.
Correct.
So which is not wrong. But we must not be affected by those perceptions. We must be very sure with our own eyesight of whether this business we have the capability to generate value or not.
Okay.
Yeah, because eventually when it reflects, then people will see.
So what is the biggest synergy that you saw in MAC that, well, apart from completing your whole supply chain, what else do you see that you can help to bring synergies to MAC?
They also have other business like microspheres, phenolic resin, formalin. They are under the chemical segment.
side.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after we gone into it, now we are officially there for about 11 months. We start to realize that there are a lot more applications where we can sell these products. So we are working with a lot of distributors because now we can cross our distributors. So I have met MAC's distributors in China, in different countries, and we have also brought our distributors from Techbond to meet them to see whether our overseas market can sell their product or not. So from here, I think we can cross-leverage our distribution channels, and from there, we actually, from the discussion, we actually realized there are a lot more potential in the products that they manufacture.
Oh,
Yeah, so-
which they never see before.
Not that they never see before, but the initial arrangement from them will be quite different from us.
Okay.
Because they went through distributor to sell their products. Whereas from Techbond perspective, all this while we like to sell products by ourselves. And only
go
when,
direct to your
only when we
customers.
know the application, we know the testing and all that, then we appoint distributor to sell for us. So when we went into MAC, we start to apply our approach. So now we start to see different application. And even some of the application is not using that product, we try to convince them to change into our products.
Right.
And we try to find value for the customer that our product can give a better value and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
So a bit of creativity and a little bit of initiative change the whole business, change the whole business
it's more
plan.
of selling the value of our product
Right.
to customer.
Since we're talking about the products, right? So majority of the products is used on wood, furniture and stuff like that. So which brings me to the next questions about furniture. When Malaysian investors talk about furnitures, immediately the first two countries they think about is Japan and the US. Japan, if you can recall, in the beginning of the year, they have a very major earthquake in the central Japan. A lot of people lost their homes and all that. So right now they need to rebuild their homes. And Japanese, they like to use a lot of wood in their home building. So have you started to see a lot of all these orders coming from Japan? You know?
In the wood industry, we start to see a bit of order increase.
Okay.
However, I don't think that is the reflection of Japanese order so much. I think it will take a bit of time for it to reflect. Similar to last time when Hong Kong have riot and all that, they also have to buy furniture. But it was not so immediate. It took some time after they revamped the whole city, their house and all that. Then only the furniture comes in. Yeah. So maybe in the next few months, I don't know, maybe we can see some opportunities there.
All right.
Yeah.
What about the US? Everyone is talking about the US is recovering from COVID and whatnot, and then people start to spend a lot more. And their culture is also a little bit different from the Asian culture. Asian culture, you buy one photo frame, you will hang there for 20 years.
Yeah.
Americans, they will change every 2-3 years, all right? So how do you see that market to your business?
I think most of the buyers are from US in the past.
Okay.
There are a lot of buyers from US. So the past 2-3 years, we see order drop from US market.
Okay, really?
And yeah, in my opinion, at this moment, it's still very similar. Whether it will come up or not, I really think that this depends on the, we can say, inflation of US. Because what we hear is that the US citizen, they are not in a position to have extra money to buy new furniture. So whatever they can use, they use back instead of changing. Their electricity cost went up, their inflation was very high. So I don't know, that could be the factor that the demand is still not there yet compared to pre-COVID.
Maybe just one last question over here before I let you go.
Sure.
As the Deputy Managing Director of the company and potentially a successor to Techbond. Now, why I say potential is because you still have a brother, so depending on how you guys work things out, so that could be the plan.
Yeah.
So, but what would you do today to prepare Techbond for the future?
For a company to be sustainable, it depends on people, depends on talent. Okay, it's not so much of company versus company. I think it's more of talent versus talent. So for me and my brother, and I mean this is from family perspective now. Okay, we also have to grow.
Yeah.
We also have to learn, right? Including our people in the company. That's why we put so much effort into building our own academy, so that we want our talent first to stay on with the company. Second, they will be able to see their career path. And from there, when we set targets, when we set so-called common vision or common mission, it's a collective one. And it's actually we as a group to bring the company to next level, rather than 1, 2, 3 person bringing the company to next level.
Yep.
So I put it in a way where what I do as a person is more of what we do collectively to bring the company to next level. So it's a collective effort that we need to put in.
Well, thanks very much. Today I learned so much about adhesive glue. To me, before I came to this place, I thought glue is just some sticky liquid and whatnot. But I didn't know that it has so much knowledge that goes into it, and it also affects the quality of the furniture that you are actually buying as well. So thanks so much for your time. Hopefully I can catch you again pretty soon.
Okay.
And hopefully next time, who knows, maybe from a listed company perspective, you become one of the top 30 KLCI also. Hopefully one day that will happen.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks so
All right,
much.
thank you.
All right, see you.
See you.